Hi guys, we're back in the garage again. I haven't been out here in a few weeks because the last time I worked on the Lemans, the thermostat wasn't opening, the radiator started peeing out the bottom, and the OBD2 port told me that the temperature of the engine was climbing up to like 230, 240 degrees, something ridiculous. So I knew I had to order some parts and kind of take a breather from this because I was getting a little frustrated. So what I did was I talked to my friend Nick, who you can follow on Instagram, mk2_VRT, and he happened to have this radiator with a couple of fans that he's never even installed on his car. He's parting out one of his projects because he found out the frame is bent, and he basically sold me this for a great deal. Now this is a radiator with two fans, and it has transmission cooler lines in it, or the cooler in it, and it even has a spot up here for the head vent, which is pretty rad. So this radiator normally goes for like 160 bucks on eBay or something like that, and I got it for way less than that because Nick is awesome. So the other things I got was, I got a new thermostat. I also got new brake hoses because the brake hoses on this car are too short. I don't know if you remember from about like, I don't know, 20 videos ago or something ridiculous. I found out that the brake hoses are way too short. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put new brake hoses on it in the right length. I also have this. Now you're probably like, what the heck is that? So this is steering column linkage. This goes from the transmission, the Turbo 400 linkage, or the Turbo 400 shifter, you know, the thing on the Turbo 400 that makes it shift. It connects to that right here, and then it links up to the frame, and then this rod up here goes up to the steering column, and it basically moves the linkage on the steering column to tell the ignition whether you're in reverse or neutral or drive. It's basically like reverse lockout on the column, and it all works because of this linkage. The problem is, my linkage is completely gone, and this linkage is for a Chevy Nova. So my friend Jason gave me this. It's out of his Nova. He's not using it anymore because he's putting a T56 and a 6.2 liter in it. So I got this, and this thing is actually missing a few parts. So I bought some little clips and some springs and crap. So I'm going to hopefully make that work too. I'm probably not going to do all that in this video. It's already getting pretty late tonight, and I'm not really motivated, so let's see how far we can get. Alright, first things first. You see this bucket? It's meant for oil. But you know what? I've been using it for antifreeze its whole life. I've probably had this like 10 years. And I've only put antifreeze in it, but over the years, I'm sure the inside of it is absolutely nasty. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut the top of this thing off because I just don't see a point in having it there. And I am going to clean this out so that I can then put antifreeze in it, and then I can reuse my antifreeze. Because the antifreeze that's in the Lemans is all brand new, and antifreeze is expensive these days, so I want to reuse it instead of buying new stuff. Not to mention you can't get rid of it anywhere because it's friggin' impossible to get rid of. So, I'm going to cut this open, clean it out, and then dump my antifreeze in it. Alright, let's go. Boom. Throw that right in the trash. Alright. Inside of it's actually not that bad. I expected a lot worse. So, I'll mop this out with a rag, and then I'll dump some antifreeze in it. Mint. Okay, so I'm going to tell you the first thing that kind of sucks. So, the radiator is an original 72 Lemans radiator. It's like a single core, super thin, it's pretty crappy, but it came with the car and I was hoping to use it. The problem is, down on the bottom, which I probably can't show you because it's way down on the bottom of the radiator, it has a spout to drain the antifreeze out of. But it is like really corroded and awful and broken and rotted. So I don't think I'm going to be able to drain it out of there. So what I'm going to have to do is probably pull off the radiator hose, and I'm going to have to pull off these transmission lines too. The other thing I'm going to have to do is these radiator fans, well, this radiator fan I should say, I hardwired it right in. I didn't put like connectors or anything. And since my new radiator comes with fans, I am basically just going to snip off all those wires, because at this point, that thing's going in the trash. So, I guess that's what I'm going to do next. I'm going to snip those wires, pull the radiator fan out, and then I am going to probably disconnect the trans lines and pull off the radiator hose. All right, here's a little tip. The transmission line's bleeding a little bit, so put a sandwich bag on it and zip tie that sucker tight. All right, that won't drip into my antifreeze. Huzzah! All right, this is where it gets messy. Well, I got some of it. All right, radiator is out. And you can see it's a mess down there. There's a whole bunch of rust that I never cleaned out. All right, and these two wooden blocks. I was using these blocks to jack up the radiator to try and get the bubbles out. Guess I don't need those anymore. And then here's a couple of the radiator rubber mounts. These are some of the original ones. Actually, no, I think this might be a new one. Anyways, I bought like 4 new ones. They were really cheap, like 8 or 12 bucks or something like that. All right. You might be saying to yourself, Jeremy obviously bought a 72 Lemans radiator, right? And you would be wrong. I actually bought this radiator from my friend Nick, as I mentioned, and this is for an 82 to 92 Camaro, a 3rd gen Camaro. This is probably not going to fit very well, but it's going to fit good enough for me. And if I need to make some brackets for it, I will. And we're just going to see how it works. It's generally the right shape and size. I know Nick was going to use it for an LS swap, so it can't be that far off. All right, so let's drop it in and see what it looks like. Actually, you know what? Let's change the thermostat first. Yeah, let's do that. Got a new thermostat here. Pretty rad, right? It's a Stant thermostat. Stant's been around for like a bazillion years making thermostats. So hopefully it'll work. And now I'm going to rip the old one out. All right, first things first, let's take off the hose. Wonder if that's going to be in the way. All right, so there she is. Make sure you torque them to spec. Click! Click! All right, thermostat is on. Well, that fits surprisingly well. Wow. I think I can work with that. Let's throw this on. Okay, so as you can see, the radiator fits pretty awesome right where it is. I'm probably gonna put some of these rubber bumpers, like that, underneath it, just to hold it in place. And then I'll probably throw some on the top and then make some sort of bracket for the top. But for right now, I just want to hook up all the lines and the transmission lines, the hoses, and get some antifreeze in it and see if this thing will cool itself. So I might have to modify some hoses. These transmission lines are close but not quite right. So, all right, let's see what's next. All right, bad news. So the fittings on the end of my 5/16 transmission lines, they don't thread into my radiator because it is for an 82 to 92 Camaro, as I talked about earlier, and it has metric fittings, or metric threads in here. So what I found was, I don't know if you've ever worked on a Subaru before, a turbocharged Subaru, but in turbocharged Subarus, they have banjo bolts that go in the oil feed line that have little filters inside them, and they basically clog filters and then they seize up turbos, and yeah, this is the bolt that does it. So the reason your Subaru has a blown turbo is because of this stupid style bolt that has a filter inside it. Anyways, this is from a Subaru, and you can see that it is the perfect size. Well, if I could do this with my left hand. My left hand is pretty much useless. Come on, you can do it. There we go. All right, so you can see Subaru bolts in awesome. Standard SAE flared fitting nut does not. So what I need to do is get an adapter from this size to this size. So it looks like I'm going to be stopping for today, and I will have to grab those fittings at the hardware store or maybe an auto parts store tomorrow. Hopefully someplace local has them, otherwise I'm gonna have to buy them online and it'll be a few days, which will totally stink. Alright, so I guess that's it for today. Hope you enjoyed, and be sure to share and subscribe and all that jazz. Tell a friend, and we'll see you next time.